All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today on the mic with JB Banda. Today I got a special guest. Now, this guy, we go way back, and he's served his country. He's been on a lot of tours, and today we're gonna talk about that. And I'm joined by my brother. It's Kevin. Kevin, bro, how are you doing? How you doing, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Good. Happy to be here. So
Yeah.
thanks for the invite.
Brother, I'm glad you could jump on. I'm glad you could jump on. For a lot of people that are listening, like Kevin used to serve in the army, and what platoon were you? Like where what?
Uh, so basically I joined the Royal Green Jackets
Wow,
in 2003
wow.
and served up till 2014. Been to places, done a tour in Northern Ireland,
Mm,
Kosovo, did Kosovo twice, Iraq, Afghanistan,
mm,
and been out to Africa as well in Kenya.
wow. So you've been
So
about.
that's
You've
my
been
life.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, been about a lot of places, a lot of different countries, the training and stuff as well.
Yeah. Now that's good. That's good. Now, obviously, for a lot of people that are wondering, the reason I brought Kevin on is because I want him to talk about PTSD. Because a lot of veterans that have been out, on these tours, when they come back, they do suffer from post traumatic stress disorder, which is a very, very common thing for most veterans. And it's kind of high out there, but a lot is not getting done. I think like the government are trying to do a bit, but they're not doing a lot that they can do. And I just wanted to bring Kevin on the platform to kind of share his experience, his story, because he's somebody who's suffered from PTSD, and kind of talk about, his trials and tribulation, what he's been through, and, how he, if he, how he found the journey, and, so he's here right now to talk about it. So, bro, obviously, like you said, you've been to Afghanistan, you've been to Iraq, you've been Kosovo, around the world with the army and stuff like that, and you've done your time. How long were you in the army for?
11 and a half years.
Wow,
Served 11 and a half years.
wow, yeah. And why did you decide to pack it in? Was it just like a decision you made yourself, or did you get signed off, or what was it?
Medical discharge. I was no longer suitable to serve in the British Army.
Wow.
So I have to be medically retired.
Mm. And is that something that I'm sure, were you happy that the decision was given, or were you kind of against it? Did you want to still stay in the army? Like, where were you? What were you feeling when they said, listen, we're going to medically discharge you? Were you ready to be medically discharged, or?
At first, I had enough because when you're a soldier, you feel like you're letting someone down when you're weak.
Mm,
So I always was told by the doctor, someone will always replace me.
wow.
You're never irreplaceable.
Mm,
But being in the army so long, the guys become my brothers.
yeah.
So not being there for them in any situation, whether it's back at camp or back on tour, it made me feel really disappointed that I'm not there. Felt like I'm letting my team down.
Yeah, yeah. No, I understand that. And so with a medical discharge, obviously, what did they say was wrong? Why were they medically discharging? What was wrong? Was it the PTSD, or was it something else?
Yeah, it was PTSD,
Yeah.
and at the time I didn't know about it. It took me a while to know what I had. It's
Mm,
just started off with a bit of can't sleep, putting all my focus into work.
yeah.
So basically, daytime was my appetite,
Wow.
and then as the sun goes down, your mood go down.
Wow.
When the sun come up, you're happy. So you don't have to be in work till 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in work at 6 o'clock in the morning just to be in work.
Wow. So was it like because you were looking forward to the morning because you didn't want to sleep, because the sleep was kind of, you didn't want to go through that being by yourself and sleeping and having that trauma at night, and where you just like, you wanted that the night to sort of pass so that during the day you're active, you're working? Is that why you sort of were always looking forward to the morning?
Yeah. So basically at night, everything started to slow down at night. The night started to feel longer, which started to make you feel more afraid of going to sleep. So the longer you stay up, the faster the night passes. So you know the opposite of someone that's good and happy, when they go to sleep, they wake up and be like, oh my God, I can't believe it's morning.
Yeah.
So when I wake up, especially in the wintertime when the sun takes so long to come out, I'm like, oh my God, it's still night.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So it's like the opposite. You kind of like, what's going on? Where's the sun?
Yes. So it's basically the opposite.
Yeah. Now, what was making you like, obviously, what were you going through? Like, because I want people to really understand when somebody's suffering from PTSD, like, what does that entail? Like, obviously, it's post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, what are you, like, what are you suffering? Like, what is going on in your head? Just like take us through like why you don't want to go to sleep. Like, are you having like bad dreams, or are you having like, obviously being in the forces? Yeah, you probably gonna have like some stuff that you've done that you keep revisiting. Is that what's going on, or what's causing you not to want to sleep?
All right. It started off from a bit of sadness, really. Like started from getting depressed. Like everyone get depressed during the day. If something don't go your way, you get a bit sad about it, stuff like that. But then something went wrong at work for me. And it was to do with family issue back at home in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So that happened, and it started to make me feeling down, saying, I can't believe this. I've served the country. And then started to think about how many times I almost get killed, how many people I've seen get killed. So after that little bit of depression,
Yeah.
from what happened, it breaks into the memories. The memories create the nightmares. When you stay busy at day, you don't remember the memories. Only when you're alone by yourself or at night when you're going to sleep. You always do that little relaxing thinking at night. But for me, it was more thinking about Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah.
So it started to get brought into a nightmare.
Wow.
So every night, start having the nightmares. It started from the same one, like the worst one. So it's difficult to explain with a veteran because you always have more than one trauma. Someone can be in that car crash and only dream about that car crash.
Yeah.
So with me, it's so many different situations. It's like a lifetime of situation to dream about.
Yeah.
So it's like the same dream every night, every night, every night. And no matter what you do, you can't change that dream. So it becomes the worst trauma.
Wow.
So once you realize the worst trauma, before you even know what's happening to you, or before I know what's happening to me, I started to spend nights in work. So I used to rent an apartment out of work anyway. So what I do was I started to be afraid to go home. So I work in the gym in work. So I got a little office and stuff like that. So I started spending more time at work, start sleeping in the office just to wake up and just continue working whenever when you wake up at home, there's just nothing to do. And you wake up, start cleaning 12 o'clock at night, you're basically like, people will look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
So at work now in the gym, I could just wake up and start move some weights about, start use some ideas that I have during the day to make things easier for the next morning. So be creative.
Yeah.
So being at work was my escape, but then your escape become your nightmare. You started to get trapped.
Yeah.
It started to caught up on you because you start running out of ideas and all the cope. You run out of ideas from who you're hiding from.
Wow.
So I end up start hiding away from my workmates.
Wow.
You couldn't bear the thought of being around anyone else. So
Mm.
that's where the isolation starts. So you
Wow.
start isolating yourself from your partner at home. You
Mm.
start isolating yourself from friends. And it started going on and on. I didn't know what was wrong with me anyway.
Yeah.
So that's when I went to the nurse and I started asking for sleeping tablets. You know, like if you got a friend that's a nurse, you'd be like, yeah, she can score me some sleeping tablets and I'll be good in the morning.
Yeah.
All I need is just that one good night's sleep
Mm.
and everything would be all right. So I went into the nurse, asked her if I can have some sleeping tablets. She asked, what's wrong? I said, I can't sleep at night. And she said, what's been going on? I said, I've been having these weird dreams, but to me, it was just a dream,
Yeah.
but it didn't seem like a memory.
Mm.
So I said, I've been having these weird dreams about Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah.
And then she said to me, I think you're suffering from PTSD. And I said, what the hell is that? Didn't know what that was. And she just
Yeah.
brought this book out. And when she brought this book out to me, it started to explain everything that was happening to me, like my anger,
Mm.
my anger outbursts, feeling mad at the world, quick to flip the switch, ready to fight at all time.
Mm.
And then it started to explain my sleeping, my sadness, my isolation. But knowing what it was didn't make it better, you see. It made it worse.
Wow.
So it made it worse for me knowing what it was. And knowing what it was, it making me more afraid of hurting someone. It
Mm.
started to make you realize that you're isolating yourself. So you're trying your best to be in the midst of people. You
So
try to do the
you're trying to force the situation.
yes, which made it worse now because you're knowing what you're doing now, made it worse. And the more you do it, the more it hurts. Like you got situation where you can't move, you can't speak. And when someone look at you and say, oh, you're in a daydream,
Mm.
that was every single day.
Wow.
Every single day, not hearing people speaking. When you're in a group of people, you can hear everything is like a million people around you talking.
Wow.
And when you start hearing, because in the army, we got a place called the cookhouse,
Mm-hmm.
which is the canteen basically where everyone goes and sit down and eat. And everyone will be talking. And because you put yourself in that position, you're hearing so many people talking that start added to your nightmares. So what happened now, during the day walking by yourself, you can hear the talking,
Wow. It's too
even when
bad.
there's no one around. Yes. And because of the talking and stuff, it started to add more to your nightmares, started to remind you of the group of people you were in. It started off good in the dream, nice little patrol, and then it just went bad just like that.
Mm.
But in Afghanistan and Iraq, it can went bad just like that. But it's always after the first few hours of being out on the ground.
Wow.
But in your dream, it's like a split second. Things can change in a split second.
Wow.
So after all this stuff added to my trauma, that's when you start hearing the screams of what happened in your trauma. You start reliving it during the day. So remember I said, when the sun goes down, my mood goes down. Now, when the sun comes up, my mood still stay down. So I'm having a bad day, all night.
Wow. So you're kind of trapped in a cycle. It doesn't matter what time of day it is, you're stuck in this
Yes,
like nightmare.
you're stuck in it. And then your escape place, which was my work at the time, I don't want to go there anymore.
Mm.
So I started to withdraw from work. I started to get in trouble, like being late, can't sleep at night, then start being on medication and stuff, making it worse for you to function. And if you love your fitness, being on them sort of medication made it worse for you, because even though the tablets didn't help me to sleep, but it helped me to lie in bed, couldn't move, can't do anything really. That's what it's basically designed to do.
Wow.
So you lie in bed all day, just thinking, please just get up and do something, which made it even worse.
Mm. Wow.
So, but I'm still here.
So how did you try that? So obviously you're going through this, then is that when they called you in and said, listen, we've obviously noticed a pattern in your situation and we think you're not capable of obviously doing the job. We're gonna, discharge you from duty. And at that point, when they said that, were you sort of like, okay, I'm a bit relieved I don't have to go to work, or what were you thinking when that happened?
At first, they have to give you 2 weeks leave, 2 weeks at home. After giving you that 2 weeks at home, you go back in. So when I went back in, that 2 weeks at home, I started to get in trouble as soon as I get back in work.
Mm.
That didn't work, so they gave me 6 months at home. They offered to give me 6 months at home, and I refused to be at home for 6 months. Didn't want it. So that's when the doctor keep telling me that I'm replaceable. Don't be afraid to take the time off, because I always feel like I need to be there to help.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So I didn't went on that 6 months at home. So that 6 months passed and no changes in my circumstance. So they turned around and said to me, by law, they have to take me out of work for 1 year.
Mm.
And I can't refuse.
It's for your health.
So
Yeah, it's like it has to
yeah, I
be done.
couldn't escape not
No.
staying at home anymore. So they moved me into a military home, but outside of the base.
Mm.
So that was me in this nice house for a year, nothing to do, which was making it worse. Friends used to come up to visit me, and it was the same thing again. They will come up Friday after work, and they will see me one time on the Friday, but for the rest of the time, I'm locked up in my bedroom.
Wow.
So after that 1 year, when they see that there's still no changes, what they said to me is that they have no choice but to let me go. But I was still so ashamed of like getting medical discharge as well. Like I've joined in on my own. I want to leave on my own.
Mm.
So I asked for the chance to sign off and leave like a normal person would. I didn't want to leave knowing that
It
I'm
was,
suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder.
yeah, yeah.
But the doctor refused to anyway. At the end of it, I felt relieved at the time because friends were still visiting me. So I was still like with my knowledge, helping people out, passing information, showing people how to do certain jobs and stuff, or talking to them about the job.
Yeah.
So it started to become a time of listening for me.
Mm.
Then when that stopped happening, started to miss them. So I started to miss everyone. So that's where I started to isolate myself again
Yeah.
because I felt like I got nowhere to go.
Mm.
And it just keep going and going for years. Like for years, it's going on.
And in that years, like what were you getting any help from like the army? Were they coming to check on you? Were you getting medical help? Like what was going on through that help? Were you talking to anybody about it? Like were you getting the assistance that you needed?
No, when I got out, they promised me 6 months help and home visits and be able to come back in the camp for treatment. But every time I phone up to book an appointment, they will say the doctor is not here. But
Wow.
when I was serving, the doctor was seeing me twice a week.
Mm.
So I was on my own. I've registered with the NHS,
Mm.
but because being civilian, the process can take way longer. So it was like a year and a half before I received help, which
Wow.
made it got worse for me.
Yeah. That's crazy
So
that it takes that long to get help, like when you're battling, especially when you're going through like trauma like that. Like that's why there's a high rate of people committing suicide, people taking their own life, because by the time they've got around to 1 year, somebody's done something crazy, and then they're like, oh, we had an inkling of it, but we were too late. It's because the system is
yes,
so it's so like they need to attend to matters like this. I feel they need to respond quick.
yes, very fast. What can make things like this worse is losing your job and having other stress to it. If you got kids, can't support your kids anymore. I didn't have nowhere to live. I was moving from house to house as well.
Mm.
So when I came out, I had nothing really, to be honest. Nothing, no money, nothing. So that kind of piled on top of what I've been going through while I was in the army.
They just
So
made it
within
worse.
that year and a half, it becomes 10 times worse
Mm.
within that year and a half. So you started to feel no support from them. Like you hardly see people visiting you, no one call you anymore.
Wow.
So you're starting to getting so used to being by yourself. So instead of someone come to your house and say, look, let's go for a walk for a while. I will never refuse a walk. I love fitness. I will never refuse a run. I
Mm.
love fitness like that. But there was no one to do these things with, which I was afraid of being out there by myself.
You needed someone there with you.
Yes, I was afraid to go to the shop, like in the shopping center. I remember someone saw me and I was so afraid of being out. My anxiety level got me moving like nearly 30 miles per hour walking through the
Wow.
shopping center. When I got home, I received a message on my phone saying, are you okay? And I said, yes, why? And the person said, because it looked like you were so scared running from something.
Mm.
So that's what it was like. Every time you set foot through that door because you have to,
Yeah.
you feel like something is gonna happen to you or you're gonna happen to someone.
Wow.
Like you're gonna hurt someone. That's how I felt every day. I felt like if I was to be attacked, I would end up killing someone
Mm.
or hurting someone really bad. And I was really afraid of that as well.
Yeah.
So it was the best thing to do was I felt at the time the best thing to do was to lock myself away when it wasn't.
Mm.
So you're living in a prison, really.
Yeah. True. True. Wow. So obviously like where at this point you're not working. Yeah, you're trying to like hustle to get a job. Like how long did it take you once you got medically discharged from the army for you to even feel comfortable to start working again? And what was that job that you did like to start getting like the
Um,
income coming in? Or were the army kind of paying you or helping you out while they discharged you? Or did the money stop
yes,
the minute you were discharged?
I get like a medical pension.
Mm.
Wasn't really much. And then I was getting help from the government, like ESA and stuff like that as well. Like, so I was getting help from the government, but
Yeah.
as I say, when you got kids, it's never enough. When you're used to working and bringing in the money to look after your family. So the pressure was still there to wish you were working, wish you were able to work. But with PTSD, one of the symptoms is your memory. You would be able to read before, and it can take away your reading ability. It can
Wow.
take away your concentration when you look at a piece of paper for too long. The letters started to move. So for me, it was no longer than 30 seconds looking at a letter. So I couldn't even read letters anymore. I would get important letters and throw them in the bin.
Wow.
It becomes junk mail, you see. So it take me 4 years to get back out there, and that's when I started Mind Over Muscle. Like, so 4 years, I started to feel not confident, but strong enough to go out there, because I end up meeting someone and she gave me really good support. She started to take me out to the restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
So me sitting in the restaurant, she used to let me control everything. So to feel safe, I have to sit where I feel safe. So every time we go in a restaurant, I will have to pick where to sit. The waiters can't tell me where to sit. So she started to do that. Then she bring me out also during the days to,
because I've got a
like,
thing I've heard before, like obviously I've got a lot of friends that are veterans and been in the army, and they always say, like, whenever you go into a room, you scout the room out if you've been in the army, and the thing you want to stand is you want to stand somewhere behind the wall where you can see everything.
yes.
So it's like you can see everything, but you don't want to sit where somebody can sit behind you, or people can be behind you. You want to be the last, like, if you're you're standing like against the wall, you can then see everything in your sight, so that if anything were to happen, you know where the exit is, you know what to do. It's like something that people kind of, especially people that are suffering from that. Were you finding that you were doing that as well? Like, you wanted to sit,
I
somewhere where
know I
you
was
can,
doing it. I know
yeah.
I was doing it, but it felt comfortable. And the reason why that is the trust. So even though she was my partner, I didn't trust her with my life. I
Wow.
didn't trust her to recognize the threat if someone was coming up behind me. You see where I'm coming from? But when
Yeah.
you're with a group of veterans, you know you got that 360 defense. So
100%.
you don't ever have to worry about your friend not recognizing a threat, because they're always looking for a threat.
Yeah.
So that's what made it so easy to pick where I want to sit. It's a defense mechanism because you don't trust the person.
Wow. That is powerful, man. That's just, that's crazy. So this person, you met this person, she started helping you out, getting you confident. And at what point did you start thinking, listen, I'm going to start like Mind Over Muscle. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start helping people. I'm going to become a PT, a personal trainer. Because obviously when we met, you were a personal trainer at Pure Gym, and, you trained me,
Yeah.
showed me a few things. And that's how we got talking. But yeah,
Yes,
when did you sort of feel like, you know what, I want to get out there and start helping people? Like, when did that come into swing?
There was a challenge on Facebook was issued, and I was tagged in it, 22 for 22, for so like people that suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder and for veterans that kill themselves and stuff like that. So I was nominated, and you have to do 22 press-ups for 22 days.
Wow.
And as doing the press-ups, instead of just doing it in my home, my partner used to take me out during the day as well. She used to take me places where she knew I would enjoy being outdoors and start doing it. I would miss days sometime, and then I have to do more. I have to do double.
Yeah.
But you have to make it interesting. So what she used to do is just take me different places, and it would be a different scene every video that I do.
Yeah.
And you have to nominate 22 people as well.
Mm.
So that started to make me remember my background, where I'm from, what I used to love.
Mm.
So that started to steer me in the direction of, you used to work in the gym, you know everything about the gym. Why not use that to your best ability? So that's when, that was what, 2017?
Yeah.
I started to focus more on thinking what I'm gonna call it, who am I gonna reach out to? I was like looking for people that was more suffering with anxiety, probably people that was struggling with not only just weight loss, but with their appearance. I wanted to build confidence in others,
Yeah.
which I lost in myself.
Yeah.
So I only lost it for a few years, but you got people that struggle with that ever since they were young. Those are the people I wanted to reach out to. So I keep planning and preparing myself mentally and physically in 2017. And as soon as it touched 2018, January, I just walked into Pure Gym one day. Because I remember in 2013, before I got medical discharge in 2014, I went to the gym and there was someone there that I met called Sean. We call him Big Sean. He was still working there when I met him. And he said to me, if you need a job, you should come work in this gym. And I was like, all right, that's really amazing. But back then, Pure Gym wasn't Pure Gym and Boucher back then. It was, I think it was Fit for Lesser or something. I don't remember.
Yeah. It was a different, yeah.
It was a different gym, yes.
Yeah.
So I remember that, and I walked in the Pure Gym, just walked in, and I saw the assistant manager and I asked, is Sean still here?
Yeah.
And he said, what does Sean look like? I didn't have a clue. So he brought me over to the wall and he showed me some pictures and he was like, is this him? And I said, yes, that's him. And he's like, Sean is not here. Can I do something for you? And I said to him, I would love, I'm looking for a job. I would love to work here. Sean, tell me if I want a job, I should come back here. And that was before it was Pure Gym. He told me that.
Yeah.
So that's when the assistant manager, his name is Alan, turned around and said, all right then, come in and talk to me. I can help with that. So I went in and he just asked me, what do you do for a living? And I tell him that I used to serve and I was a fitness instructor in the military. And he said to me, oh, a PTI? And I said, yes. And then he said, all right, then I talked to the manager. I see what we can do. And like the next day, a phone call in telling me that, yes, all I need to do is bring some paperwork in to prove my status.
Yeah, of course.
So that was amazing. Like, didn't even to realize that being a PTI in the military, you could just walk into a known gym like Pure Gym and no one would refuse you.
Wow.
So that boosts my confidence even more. But the biggest test was to be in charge of a crowd of people.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest challenge for me. So before I start working there, they asked me to come down and show them what I can do, run a class for them. So it became brainstorm for me, which actually helped me out even more with my PTSD, because it was not thinking about sleeping now, it was thinking about planning the next step. What's the class gonna be like? How you gonna design your class? So I got all these crazy ideas which made me excited about myself. And I said, you know, like you got some magical power and you're like, now it's time to show the world you're Superman.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. now it's time to show them what I can do,
Yeah.
impress them.
Yeah.
So walked in and Big Sean was there.
You are. Yeah. Yeah.
So with Sean being there, I set my class up and everything, and it was like clear and controlled all the way through from start to finish.
Mm.
And that's when they said to me, yes, you got the job.
Wow.
So
And that,
that's when I started planning mind over muscle.
wow, that must have given you a huge boost. You got the job, you smashed it. Everybody loved it. Because I know like everybody in Pure Gym, when I used to come to that gym, we used to say like, your workouts are crazy, man. Everybody was like, this guy's workouts are insane. He'll put you through like some crazy workouts. But that was good though, because everybody was so appreciative, and your work ethic is like, was amazing. Because, you know, we've trained together, and yeah, man, like you
Yes.
definitely, yeah, you showed me some tips and helped me out a lot. And yeah, I remember them times in Pure Gym. It was so good, man. And yeah, it's good to finally hear the story and kind of hear how it played out. So where are you now in terms of like, obviously with your PTSD, like how are you controlling that? Are you on medication or are you completely off medication? Like what's the situation now?
I take myself off medication.
Mm,
Um, I've been released from the treatment.
yeah.
So I've been released from treatment, and that made me feel happy as well. I'm still not that great. I'm not that great. I'm not going to turn around and say, yes, it's a win, but I'm managing.
Mm,
You know, I am managing. You got good days and bad days. Now it's kind of even though it's 50-50 when before the bad was always winning.
ah,
So now it's 50-50. When I wake up and have to do things like this, it's a good day.
mm.
When I wake up and can go outside and wash my new car, it's a good day.
Yeah.
When I see my kids and have my little girls running around, that's a good day.
Mm,
You know, like as you can see, the wall is pink.
I
Yeah,
know.
man,
Yeah.
it's my daughter's room.
Yeah.
Even when she's not here, just walking in and look in the room and take that deep breath, it's a good day.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm controlling it now, and I'm
It's
more aware.
it's so good that you kind of, and this is, people need to realize that like this is like, you know, once, like you said, you're off the medication but you're controlling it, and it's mind, it's literally what you call your business, mind over matter. Like it's literally,
Yeah,
you can tell like when you're about to go into that situation where you think, oh, you're gonna have that them nightmares or that situation again, that trauma. You go into your daughter's room just by looking at the wall and taking that deep breath in. It kind of sort of
yes,
calms you down, and you kind of realize what's important and what's at play. You're like, oh, I got a daughter, and that kind of gives you that, you know, that oxytocin, that love that you've got for your daughter. It kind of wipes away all that thing, you know, like you say,
yeah,
you know, you're looking around and, you know, you see your daughters playing and all the rest of it. Kind of, it's a good day for you. You go outside, you wash your car, and you appreciate that, and it's a good day for you. So you know what sort of, when you have a problem, what to do to kind of get you out of that funk, which is actually good,
yeah,
because not everybody can learn that mechanism, can be able to operate and kind of know that I'm about to get into that situation. How do I get myself out of it? Where some people, they get themselves into that cycle and they don't see a way out. And you were there before, because previously 6 years, 5 years ago, like that's where you were when you just left the army. You couldn't see a way out. You were stuck in that cycle,
yeah,
and it was just nightmare all the way through. But now you've done a lot of work. Obviously, now you know yourself, what makes you feel better, like looking at your baby
yes.
room and like being with the kids and going out into the sun and doing things. That kind of makes you feel better about yourself, which is good. It's really good, because not a lot of people can do that. So that's great, bro.
I just want to say something, right? Like, I know a lot of people might not agree and a lot might, right? You can't sit down every day and say you want a job, but you don't look. See
Mm,
where I'm coming from? You
yeah.
can't sit down and want your life to change, but don't take that necessary step by seeking the help that you should,
Mm,
right? Asking for advice if you don't recognize it, and you can do some research and speak to medical professional about it. If I didn't went in and asked for that sleeping tablet, where would I be?
wow, that is powerful right there. That is so powerful. You're so right. That is such a big point you've just made. And a lot of people need to realize that, like, you need to go and ask for help, because you're right. If you hadn't gone and
Yes.
asked for that sleeping tablet, like, you wouldn't know what was wrong with you,
Yeah.
and you'd still be stuck in that cycle.
Yeah, but before that, I tried to return back to Afghanistan.
Wow.
Like I was no longer in a frontline platoon anymore.
Mm.
When I changed over from the frontline to the gym, I wasn't frontline in the platoon anymore. So I've went and I've asked to be in a frontline platoon just to go to Afghanistan. You know, because I felt that was the only place that felt normal.
Mm.
It was the only place that seemed real. Everything seemed unreal here. Nothing seems normal here.
Mm.
And I know friends right now that's been blown up so many times and still serving. When I ask him, is there nothing wrong with you? He said he know if he was to stop doing what he's doing, he will lose his mind.
Wow.
So
It's just,
recognize it.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy because, like, a lot of people, like, man, I take my hat off to you guys, like in the military. I take my hat to any veteran out there. And that's why, when people do the Poppy Day and, you give money and help out with all the veterans and all these programs and charities and stuff, it's very important because you guys, like, you literally put your life on the line, like, throughout. You literally put your life on the line, because I don't think they prepare you for the aftermath. I think when you go into the
No,
army, they just prepare you for the war, but they don't prepare
prepare
you
it for
how to
battle.
deal. They
Yeah,
don't
and that's
prepare
it.
you how to deal with the afterlife. Like, after the battle is done, what do you do with that? And I think, like, that's something that someone or veteran, I don't know, hierarchies, maybe they will listen to this. They need to kind of put something in place whereby I feel like, as much as they're educating you on going in and going to battle, they should also be doing as much education on your mindset and kind of your afterkeep and how to kind of recognize the sign, kind of tackle it early on. And
Yes.
there should be something like that in the army, where people can, you go into a class and you are taught on it, and you have to pass to ace that class if you are going to make it. Because for you to be a great overall front man, you need to be, your mind needs to be sound, and you need to be, mind, body, and soul has to be 100%. You know what I mean?
All right. Check a police out, for instance. If they shoot and kill someone or involved in any trauma, what the first thing they do? They get to go home that same day, right?
Mm.
Then they see a specialist just to speak to them. And they only had one bad day that day, whether it's America, England, or Northern Ireland, just that one bad day that they have to make that decision, or something drastic happen in front of them that they have to deal with. Someone is there to speak to them straight away. If it's not the same day, it's the next day they will tell you to go home,
Mm.
right? And just imagine 7 months in Afghanistan where every day is a bad day,
Hmm.
and you get told to get on with it.
Wow.
Someone get killed today and you're back out in the same place tomorrow, still
Wow.
finding pieces of equipment that belongs to people that you know.
Hmm.
So the army needs to recognize it more. The government need to recognize it more as well. And I've come up with a lot of plans and a lot of way of dealing with it. It's just because I'm not in the right position yet. One of my idea was they brought everyone in. Like when I was serving, they brought a place called the Royal British Legion,
Mm.
and they will come in. Then they brought in SAFA, and SAFA will come in, right? And all these organizations will come in and talk to you and tell you about things of the outside world.
Mm.
I didn't care about that, you know? I
Mm.
really didn't care about that because it didn't matter to me. The
Mm.
outside world didn't matter to me. When you're in the military, it's like you're in a world of its own. You got your own doctor, your own schools, your own everything.
Your own
Right?
life.
Your own life. It's, so you didn't really care about the outside world, especially coming from Jamaica and found that. It's like a place where you will always be loved, wanted, and feel amazing. And plus you get paid to do fitness. So what they have never brought in was a place called combat stress.
Wow.
See, combat stress is a civil charity organization. It's not funded by the government, it's funded by a charity, and it's been around for years, and I've never heard of it.
Wow.
Never heard of it. It's a massive organization. They got their own doctors. Their doctors are either military or been in the situation for so long with different soldiers. They know how to help. My doctor in the NHS couldn't help me. She have never dealt with anyone like me before.
True, because she hasn't been in the front. She doesn't know your trauma. She doesn't know how to advise like what you're going through. So you need somebody, like you're saying, combat stress, people who have kind of dealt with people of your own kind.
Yes, and the reason why she couldn't help me is because she didn't know what I've been through. And when I tell her, I have to put my hand up to her. She was amazing because she went home and she Googled and she YouTube it. And she will come back and say, that was so horrible. Right? But as I said, having a car crash and have one trauma, maybe the doctors can help you to process it, to deal with it. But for a veteran, it's just so many different things. So you deal with one, you got the other to deal with. And the easiest thing to do is start small. I always start from the easiest thing to talk about. And I've worked my way up. I still haven't spoke about the things that I should be talking about. I still haven't dealt with a trauma yet. I just feel good, like how I feel good. I work in Pure Gym. Then I end up fall off again. And then now I feel good. And I went into mobile response, right? And the reason I went into mobile response, it's to be able to go different places. I could do security guard in a shop. I could be that, right?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't feel interesting enough. You need that military way of thinking, of being out there, keep moving from one place to the other. So I'm still running, basically. I'm still running. You know, so I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, but I know I will get there.
Yeah, but at least you can recognize their patterns, and at least you've got the ability to know, like, you're not there, but you're getting there. You know what I mean? Whereas a lot of people, they don't even know where they are. They just think like they're trapped in this nightmare for the rest of their life. You get me? But at least you know in your head, like, you know, each day you're getting closer to getting better and better and better. And hopefully you get to a point whereby you are gonna kind of, you know, speak about you know, all the things that you shouldn't speak about. I actually feel like you know, you should start your own podcast, bro. And I'm not just saying this, I'm saying this on air because I feel like
you know what?
You should bring a lot of veterans, a lot of your friends, a lot of veterans, and kind of just speak on stuff that you guys have dealt with and kind of offload your chest. It should be a platform where people can come on and offload. I mean, obviously, like with my platform, it's for a platform for everybody in any walk or nature. And I try and bring, like, I'm motivated by, you know, I'm a mental health advocate because I've suffered through mental health, you know, being diagnosed with schizophrenia. I've been in a mental institution. So I know what it is. That's why I try and advocate for that. And I support anybody that's been in that situation. And I try to, you know, get people to get it off their chest. Because I feel by you speaking, you are self-healing. You're getting it off your chest. So, you know, when you hear yourself speak something that you've been through, it helps you, and it also helps somebody who's dealing with it as well. So it does two things. You see what I mean? That's why it's important to talk about these things. And I feel like the best thing for you personally is if you started a podcast like this, just in your daughter's room like that, just the way we're doing it right now, and you started targeting it to veterans and other people out there, I'm telling you so much, you'd have so much support and so many people that would rally behind that. And you get so many veterans on there because they'll feel like they've got a place where they can speak, a place where they can get heard. And then like that, you start to create traction. And by creating traction, you start making noise to the point whereby the government can't ignore it anymore. The people can't ignore it anymore, because then people, the more people that listen to it, it's going to take one right person to listen to it, and they'll take it to parliament and say, listen, we need to do something for our veterans. Let's bring in the combat, security, like you're teaching.
Combat stress, yeah.
Let's bring in combat stress and kind of, let's try and battle it, because we are not doing right by our guys that are meant to be protecting us. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you expect your people that are meant to protect the country, and then you are neglecting them because they need to be at their best, optimum best? And if they're not at their optimum best, how can they potentially protect? Do you know what I mean? So I feel like you should definitely look into that, and I can help you set, like, try and help you like on how way to go about it. But I 100% feel like that's what you should do, man. Because I feel like by you talking about it and getting other people involved that are veterans talking about it, it's gonna create it's gonna create a movement, man, and people are gonna just jump on it, and it's gonna be so big that the government can't ignore it. You know what I mean? And you just by your story, and then you invite other veterans to then speak their story, and before you know it, like I said, it'll just take over, man. I don't know what you think on that, but that's just.
You see, it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger than when I got medical discharge in 2014. It used to seem like something that didn't exist.
Yeah.
But now you got BBC covering online. There's a few videos online where BBC been covering like friends of mine as well that been on the same battlefield.
Yeah.
In England, where people is more open to speak of it. So BBC is doing a lot as well.
Yeah.
So to let it be known, they're keeping track of the veterans that killed themselves. Like they did a documentary on one of my friends called Kevin Holt. And basically the follow up is documentary all the way up to his death.
Wow.
So it was good for me to see my friend speaking on TV about how he felt and stuff like that. But then the documentary continues all the way up to his suicide.
Wow.
So the government knows it's real, but they just won't accept it enough to give it the help. It's an unseen wound.
That's it. That's true.
Like that's how they see it. It's an unseen wound. So they think that people can fake it. You can't fake a blown off leg.
True, because you can see it.
You can see it, but they don't know how to believe in the unseen wound. How it can destroy you. Like it ripped my life apart.
And that's the thing, like that's such a big problem, bro, because like you're so right. Like the fact that people can't see when somebody's mentally ill, or somebody who's suffering from depression, somebody who's suffering from anxiety, somebody who's suffering from PTSD and suffering from schizophrenia, like they can't really, because it's unseen, like you're saying, they think like it's not really important. And that's why like the likes of being in lockdown and all these things, it's kind of making us, it's introducing us to feel how people feel, like the way you felt when you locked yourself away to the world. We are only experiencing a little bit of it now in lockdown for 3 months, but you battled through that for like 5 years, 6 years. So now we get to understand when people want to seclude themselves and how hard it is. Because now people after lockdown will be able to understand when somebody's depressed and somebody's going through that, like when somebody is hiding away from the world, like how tough that is, because we can't even manage, and we've only been in isolation for like a few months. Now imagining like 4 years of your life, 5 years of your life, like it's crazy.
I said that to a friend of mine as well, that when they asked me, how is it for you since lockdown? I tell them it's easy. I've been doing this for years.
That's so true.
It didn't really change anything in my life.
Yeah.
The only thing that changes is the fact that I can't go to the gym anymore, or I can't go out there anymore, but I'm working. So I'm still keeping busy.
Yeah.
The ones that like probably lost their jobs now and still suffering from any mental illness, they need to reach out.
Mm.
You know, the ones that are struggling with addiction, with drugs and stuff like that, and not able to work anymore,
Yeah.
you know, need to find help.
Mm.
But for like me, it didn't really change my life that much.
Mm.
You
Bro,
know?
literally, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast, bro. And you know, guys, I'm gonna put the links down below, and you can follow Kevin's journey on his social media. He's very motivational, and he posts all his fitness stuff on there. So all the links will be down below. And like he said, you know, he was training people up in the military. If you guys are looking for somebody who's gonna motivate you and train you, he is a qualified PT man, and I'm sure he, like, once everything goes back to normal and things like that, you'll be able to do like boot camps and stuff like that anyway in the long
Yes.
run. So especially coming to the summer, a lot of people would want to be working out outside and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll put all the links below. Make sure you follow his journey. Bro, I just want to say thank you so much. One thing I want to ask, what would you say to anybody out there who's suffering from PTSD right now? What would you tell them, like, from your own heart? Like, just what would you say to that person who's right now listening to this and they're suffering from a mental illness? What would you say?
I would say if you don't know, try to find out what it is. And if you do know, reach out.
That's powerful.
Reach out for help.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm so glad, Kevin, brother, you jumped on it. And I'm sure, like, down the line, I'll bring you back because there is more into this that we can go deeper and go deeper. And we can sit here and talk for days. But nah, it's
Maybe one day I'll be able to speak about the things I was seen and done, you know?
listen,
Maybe one day.
I would love for you to come back whenever you feel comfortable to do that. Reach out to me and we'll make that happen 100%, a million percent. The minute you feel like you want to open up like that, bro, I'm here. Just hit me up, call me, you got my number, and we'll make that happen, bro. 100%. We'll make it happen. Because I think, like, by opening up and getting stuff off your chest, you're gonna heal, and it's also gonna heal somebody because it's gonna take somebody to listen to you opening up. Then they're gonna feel comfortable to
Yes.
reach out. They're gonna be like, Kevin reached out and Kevin opened up. Now Kevin is living his best life. I'm going to reach out just like Kevin did. So honestly, whenever you feel comfortable to do that at your own time, hit me up and we'll make that happen. All right, guys, download this, post it to, download this, guys, post it to anybody out there who is suffering mentally, and you know, subscribe, write a review, and all that good stuff. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of On the Mic with JB Banda, and my special guest. I just want to say thank you, Kevin, for jumping on as well. And yeah, guys, thank you very much, and God bless. Goodbye.